Tears streamed down Remy Ma's face as the courtroom doors slammed behind her. The woman who once stood tall, fierce, and untouchable on the mic suddenly looked like a shadow of herself. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted her name, and fans watched in disbelief as Remy stumbled out, visibly shaken. This wasn't the kind of loss anyone expected, not after everything she'd built. Not after all the loyalty she claimed to have given. But today wasn't about music, fame, or street reputation. This was about the one man who once stood by her side through prison walls. Career setbacks and public humiliation, Papoose, and the shocking twist. He just won the Alimony case for years. Their relationship was painted as one of the most solid in hip-hop to-ride-or-die partners who defied the odds. But behind closed doors, the cracks were deeper than anyone knew. Those who were close to them say Remy was blindsided. That she never imagined the man who once paid her lawyer fees would one day demand support from her. The judge's ruling hit her like a bullet. A percentage of her income, assets, and royalties were now legally his. The moment the gavel hit, it was like the final verse of a love story gone bitter. The industry's golden couple had officially turned into a cautionary tale. And as the world waits for Remy's next move, one thing's clear. This isn't just a breakup. It's a war. The courtroom was filled with a strange silence, the kind that settles after a storm, when everyone's too afraid to speak but too intrigued to look away. Remy Ma sat at the defendant's table, her hands tightly clenched. Her lawyer whispering something that didn't seem to register. Across the room, Papoose looked almost cold. Years of loyalty, public admiration, and private betrayal had finally led to this. When the judge began to read the final decision, you could feel the weight in every word. Papoose had officially won the Alimony case. The ruling was clear. Remy would have to pay a monthly amount to support him, covering years of what the court recognized as emotional and financial contribution to her career. As the judge's voice echoed through the room, Remy's face barely moved. It wasn't shock, it was disbelief. She had built her name from the ground up, fought through jail time, criticism, and career sabotage, only to end up in a position she never imagined, writing checks to the man she once called her king. For the public, it was a shocking twist. For those who knew the truth, it was the slow unraveling of something that had been breaking for years. The couple's troubles had quietly begun long before this case. Sources close to them claim that money and trust became major issues once Remy's career reignited after her prison release. Papoose had always been by her side, holding her down, managing her shows, even writing hooks to help her get back in the spotlight. But somewhere along the way, that loyalty turned into resentment. When Remy began pulling in big checks again, bet appearances, brand deals, and concert tours, Papoose allegedly felt left behind. Friends say he believed he had sacrificed his own ambitions for her rise, expecting that loyalty to be repaid. Behind the smiles and coordinated outfits, their arguments became louder, their silences longer. One insider described it perfectly. They stopped being partners. It started to feel like a competition. By the time the marriage reached its final stretch, it wasn't love keeping them together. It was image. Every red carpet, every family post online, every staged smile was a cover for what was really happening behind closed doors. Papoose's legal team built their case around that image. They presented years of records, proving his involvement in Remy's professional life contracts, tour schedules, and even emails where he made critical business decisions for her. In court, his lawyer argued that he wasn't just her husband, but a manager, supporter, and contributor to her brand. The judge saw it differently, not as a business partnership, but as a personal one that had clearly benefited her. In the end, the decision leaned in his favor as reporters gathered outside the courthouse. Remy tried to keep her head high, but the tremble in her voice gave her away. "It's not about the money," she told one journalist, her eyes glassy. "It's about the betrayal." Those words alone echoed louder than the ruling. For years, she'd been the one known for strength, for never backing down, for facing men in a game that often tried to silence women. But today, She wasn't the tough Bronx rapper, she was a woman who had just lost a fight she didn't expect to have. In the days that followed, social media erupted. Fans divided into two camps: those who stood by Remy, calling the verdict unfair and humiliating, and those who claimed it was only justice for Papoose's loyalty. Old interviews resurfaced where he'd spoken about being overlooked, and clips from their reality show circulated again, showing small moments of tension that now seemed like foreshadowing. What once looked like harmless disagreements now appeared like cracks in a collapsing empire. But what truly broke people was the footage that leaked from the courthouse parking lot. In the clip, Remy is seen leaning against her car, trying to hold back tears, while Papoose walks by without even glancing in her direction. That silent moment, her pain and his distance summed up everything. Years of love, loyalty, and sacrifice vanished in a single look of indifference. Behind the scenes, those close to Remy say she's struggling, not just financially, but emotionally. She's reportedly been keeping to herself, skipping appearances, and canceling studio sessions. One insider revealed she's been talking about how everything feels like a setup, like someone wanted to break her spirit. Whether it's paranoia or intuition, she can't shake the feeling that this ruling wasn't just about money, it was about power for Papoose. However, things seem different. Sources say he's been moving with quiet confidence, focusing on rebuilding his own brand and preparing to release new music inspired by everything that's happened. Some insiders say he feels vindicated that, after years of standing in her shadow, the world finally sees him as more than just Remy Ma's husband. Even with the legal win, there's something haunting about his silence. He hasn't publicly gloated, hasn't addressed fans, hasn't posted anything celebratory. Some believe he's just letting her sit with the pain. Others think the victory doesn't feel as sweet as he expected, because deep down, despite everything, Papoose and Remy once shared something real, a bond that music, money, or betrayal can't fully erase. For now, all that's left are rumors, silence, and a trail of heartbreak. And as the public dissects every move they make, both Remy and Papoose are forced to face a truth neither of them wanted to admit: their love story, the one that once inspired millions, has turned into a battlefield of pride and pain. When the headlines hit the internet, the reaction was instant. Blogs, gossip sites, and even mainstream outlets ran with the story. Papoose wins alimony case against Remy Ma. The same couple once praised as hip-hop royalty had now become tabloid fodder. What hurt Remy the most wasn't the financial loss, it was the humiliation. Every outlet replayed her courthouse breakdown. Every photo zoomed in on her tears, and every talk show debated whether she had brought this on herself. The woman who once commanded respect was now being reduced to a meme inside her Bronx home. Remy reportedly shut out the world. Friends say she barely spoke for days, and even those closest to her couldn't get her to eat or leave the house. The betrayal was cutting deep. This wasn't some random ex or opportunist, it was the man she had built her world around. She used to call him her backbone, her rock, the reason she stayed sane when the industry turned its back on her. But now every memory felt tainted. Every lyric she ever wrote about loyalty now felt like a lie. Behind closed doors, those who truly know the couple began to share quiet details of what had. As Remy's legal team tried to appeal, the damage only deepened. More private information surfaced: joint bank statements, unfiled business taxes, even conversations between them about who owned which asset. Every line of the case revealed how intertwined their lives truly were, and how impossible it would be to separate love from business. The courtroom became an autopsy table for their marriage, dissecting every dollar, every promise, and every betrayal. For Remy, what made it unbearable wasn't just losing to Papoose, it was realizing how well he knew her. He knew her weaknesses, her triggers, her pride. And in court, that knowledge was turned against her. The man who used to protect her had become the one exposing her most vulnerable truths. It was psychological warfare masked as justice. Meanwhile, Papoose's supporters began celebrating his win as a victory for loyal men who felt overlooked in relationships. They called him an example of standing your ground and reclaiming your worth. But others saw it differently. They called it revenge disguised as legal justice. One comment on social media summed it up best. You can't win a marriage in court. You just prove who's willing to destroy the other first. Through it all, Remy's silence became louder than any interview. Instead of addressing the ruling, she unfollowed everyone on social media and disappeared from public view. Her last post, a black and white photo of herself sitting alone in the studio, had a caption that read, "Loyalty don't expire." But people do. Fans flooded the comments, begging her to speak out, but she never did. That one post said everything. Those close to her claim that she's been reevaluating everything: her career, her circle, her trust. She's been avoiding interviews, declining performances, reportedly even turned down a major collaboration that could have reignited her music run. For the first time in her life, Remy Ma wasn't thinking about her image. She was thinking about survival. But while she hid, Papoose started stepping into the spotlight. New interviews, new appearances, and even a teaser for an upcoming documentary about healing from betrayal. The irony didn't go unnoticed. Many accused him of profiting off their downfall. His calm demeanor, his polished responses, and his refusal to speak negatively about her only fueled speculation that he was manipulating the narrative. The public began to wonder, was Papoose really the victim? Or had he just mastered the art of playing one? One source close to the couple dropped a shocking detail that made things even more complicated, apparently. During the marriage, Remy had signed off on several business deals that listed Papoose as a co-owner. That meant he was entitled to more than just alimony. He now had legal stakes in her ventures. It was a move that many believe he had planned from the start, whether it was love or strategy. Papoose had positioned himself in a way where even their breakup couldn't erase his influence over her career. The pressure eventually forced Remy to make a decision. She could either keep fighting in court and drag her name through more Mador. She could settle quietly and protect what little peace she had left. Those around her say she's leaning toward closure. She's tired mentally and emotionally. The heartbreak has drained her spirit in a way prison never could. Back then, she had hope and purpose. Now, all she has is loss. But there's something about Remy Ma that the public always forgets. She's a fighter. She may be down now, but she's been here before. The same people who doubted her after her conviction watched her rise again and take over stages. And even though this time the wound is personal, the fire in her hasn't gone out completely. One insider claimed that she's already writing again, channeling everything into her music. If that's true, her comeback might not just be about reclaiming Famit, might be about reclaiming her dignity. Still, the biggest mystery remains: why did Papoose go this far? What pushed him to turn on the woman he once called his queen? Some say it's revenge for years of feeling overshadowed. Others say it's a power move to remind her and the world that he was never dependent on her fame. Whatever the reason, the outcome has left scars that neither of them will ever fully heal from. Weeks passed, but the tension surrounding Remy Ma and Papoose's case didn't fade. If anything, it grew heavier as new details began to surface. What started as a simple alimony battle had now turned into a deep public dissection of their marriage. Every argument, every rumor, every tear caught on camera, now being replayed by millions online. Remy had gone quiet, but silence only fueled curiosity. Insiders began whispering that her breakdown in the courthouse was just the beginning, that she'd spiraled since the ruling and was struggling to hold herself together. For someone known for her strength, this kind of collapse felt almost unreal. Close friends described her state as haunted. She wasn't sleeping, wasn't talking to her team, and reportedly refused to discuss any new projects. Even her label started growing nervous. Her manager had to step in, worried that Remy's emotional condition might damage her career permanently. They urged her to get back into the studio to channel the pain into music, but she refused. "You can't create when your soul's been ripped apart," she told a friend. For Remy, this wasn't about a legal defeat anymore, it was about the betrayal of trust that no amount of money could fix. Meanwhile, Papoose was moving differently. He wasn't gloating, but he wasn't hiding either. He started posting cryptic quotes on line messages about loyalty, healing, and self-worth. Some interpreted them as peaceful reflections. Others saw them as veiled shots at Remy. Whatever his intent was, the internet picked sides fast. One half claimed he was simply finding closure, while the other accused him of publicly humiliating a woman who once stood by him through everything. Then came the leaked phone call. A short clip surfaced online, allegedly between Remy and one of her close friends. In the audio, Remy could be heard crying, saying she never thought he'd turn her life into a courtroom circus. She claimed he had changed, that fame and public praise had gotten to him. "It's like he became the person I used to protect him from," she said through tears. That clip spread like wildfire. It reignited sympathy for her and shifted the conversation. Suddenly, the narrative began to turn. Remy wasn't the aggressor. She was the one betrayed by the man she built up. But the emotional fallout didn't stop there. According to those close to Papoose, he too was wrestling with guilt. He'd won in court, yes, but the victory didn't feel clean. He reportedly confessed to friends that he missed her, that despite everything, he couldn't escape the memories of their years together. The studio sessions, the laughter, the way she'd light up whenever he entered the room, it haunted him. Yet his pride kept him from reaching out. The damage was already too deep at one point. An industry insider claimed Remy and Papoose briefly met in private after the case. The meeting was short and heavy. No lawyers, no cameras, no audience, just two people sitting across from each other with more history than words could hold. Witnesses say it wasn't angry, it was sad. Remy asked him why he did it, why he'd gone public, why he'd dragged their love through the dirt for everyone to see. Papoose allegedly didn't answer right away. He just looked at her and finally said, "Because you stopped needing me." That one line reportedly broke her. The industry knows that when Remy comes back, it won't be for attention, it'll be for redemption. People are already predicting her next album will be the royest project of her career. A complete emotional purge that will either heal her or expose wounds too deep to close. And this time, she doesn't care about saving anyone else's image. The love that once made her fight for someone else has now turned inward. She's fighting for herself. Still, in the quiet moments, she can't escape the memories. The way Papoose stood by her during her prison sentence. The letters, the visits, the way he promised he'd never leave. That loyalty once felt unbreakable. But now those same memories ache like open scars. Remy reportedly told a friend that the hardest part isn't losing the marriage. It's realizing that the person she defended most became the one she needed defending from. Papoose, too, is facing his own reckoning. His circle says he's realizing that while the world may see him as the victor, there's no joy in being the man who broke the woman who once gave him everything. Behind the quiet confidence, there's regret. He's seen the public turn on him, the empathy shift toward Remy, and it's made him reflect. Winning in court might have proved a point, but it didn't fix anything. It didn't heal Dot now, as both of them move forward separately. The love that once defined hip-hop's idea of loyalty has become a warning. It's proof that even the strongest couples can fall apart when pride, pain, and power collide. The streets are still talking. Fans are still debating. But only Remy and Papoose know what truly happened behind those closed doors. Love can build empires, but it can also destroy them just as fast. Remy Ma and Papoose were once the blueprint for loyalty. The couple that everyone pointed to when they said real love still existed in hip-hop. But now, they stand on opposite sides of a battle that neither truly won. What we've seen play out in public is more than just a celebrity breakup. It's a painful reminder of what happens when pride replaces partnership. Remy's tears outside that courthouse weren't just about money or betrayal. They were about watching years of sacrifice and devotion dissolve into legal paperwork. And Papoose, despite his calm victory, is left with a silence that no amount of money can fill. But if there's one thing both of them have proven time and again, it's that they know how to rebuild from pain. The question is, what will they rebuild this time? Will Remy turn her heartbreak into her most powerful music yet? reclaiming the voice she nearly lost? Or will Papoose finally confront the guilt that came with winning something that cost him everything? In the end, love doesn't always die, just changes form. And sometimes, losing each other is the only way to find themselves again. Whatever happens next, one thing's certain: the story of Remy Ma and Papoose isn't over. It's only entering its most revealing chapter yet.